Hello everyone, my name is Nicole. I am an animation filmmaker in Moose Jaw, and I am so excited you are joining me for the Kids Inc. workshop, because we're gonna have a lot of fun today. We will be bringing our stories to life through the art of animation. There are many types of animation, but today we'll be focusing on flipbook and stop motion, because you can try these out at home right now along with me. In fact, this first type of animation we will do together is so easy that all you need is a pen and paper. Let's get started. Flipbook animation is a cool technique that causes a drawing to appear like it's moving using an optical illusion called the persistence of vision. This illusion is caused by drawings that are very slightly different from each other being shown one after another so quickly that the human eye is tricked into thinking they are moving. Now that we know how this works, let's create our own flipbook. All you will need is a pen and either a pack of post-it notes, or you can cut out a bunch of paper the same size and clip it together like this. For our first test, we will keep it simple and draw a waving stick man so we can better understand the basics before creating our own story. It is a great idea to start at the back of the booklet. This way, when you place the next paper on top, you can see the previous lines, and it makes it so much easier to redraw your object slightly different when you have that guide. The trick with flipbooks is drawing as many small movements as possible. The more drawings, the more smoothly your animation will appear to move. If you ever think your flipbook is appearing too jumpy, go back and add more drawings in between. Once I finish drawing this little dude waving, I can flip through the book and see the drawings come to life. Now that we have the basics down, let's use what we learned to create our own story. First, think of what story you want to tell. If you already have something in mind, great. If not, here are some prompts to get you thinking. So once you know the story you want to tell, think about how you want to express it. A great way to clearly visualize how you want to create your flipbook is through storyboards. Storyboards are a graphic way to visualize how you plan on making your animation by using a series of drawings. They don't have to be detailed at all. In fact, they can be stick people or even just a couple words, anything that lets you know how you want to make your film. For my flipbook, I'll be bringing to life this short story by 3rd grader Dil Joshi. The story is a short story about the circle of life, so now I have to think about how I want to show this visually. I love how he titled his story, so I want to start the flipbook with the title and have an O in the word on become an actual rotating earth. Then I want to zoom in on the earth by drawing the earth getting bigger and bigger, so we get a closer look at the animals, plants, and people found on the earth. I will then end the book by having everyone holding hands to show how we come together. Now that you have visualized your story with the storyboards, it's time to whip out your flipbook and begin drawing. Remember that because we're drawing from the back of the book, you will draw the end of your story first and work your way to the start. In my case, I will start by having everyone holding hands, and I'll be working my way to the title. There will be roughly 8 to 15 drawings per 1 second of movement, so keep that in mind when deciding how long you want your animation to be. Flipbooks can take quite a bit of time, but they're so rewarding once finished, and you can make them more simple or more creative by making them shorter or longer or adding color and extra details. Let's see how this turned out. Now let's create a stop-motion animation. Stop-motion animation is a technique where you bring static or still objects to life by taking a series of pictures. With stop-motion, you could bring to life any object, Lego, paper, or even random household objects or toys. All you need to do this is a camera and software or an app to put the images together to form the film. The app we will be using today is a free app called Stop Motion that is available in the Apple and Android App Store and looks like this. Let's do a quick run through of how this app works. When you download the app, you can get started right away by pressing Get Started. Click on New Movie. Now with the app open, prop open your camera using a block or books or anything you have on hand. Just make sure it is sturdy so the camera won't be able to move. Position the camera where you want, and when you have your framing just right, get your character ready. I am wanting a close-up shot so that Godzilla looks intimidating. This is what the app looks like when you open it up and press New Movie. Now, press the camera icon. And now that the camera is fully on, this is what it looks like in camera mode. You can tap on any part of the screen to make it focus on the part you tapped. So, if you want to focus on the background, you can tap on the background. But in this case, we want to focus on the character himself. Next, we have the slider down here for options for white balance and other color options. Right now, I want to show you the M here, which stands for mode. You want to change it to auto mode. This is so your character will stay in focus the entire time you are animating, so you don't have to worry about your character getting blurry or out of focus. Next, the slider right here shows you what the last frame you took looks like, and how it lines up with the next one you're about to take. This is really helpful in case you're wondering if you're moving your character too much, or if you think the animation may look choppy. It's exactly like how in our flipbooks we use the lines from our previous drawings to draw our next lines. Right here is the timer setting. We're going to use the timer today, so we will click on it and scroll to 15 seconds. This means that you have 15 seconds to animate your character and move him to the pose you want before the camera automatically takes a photo. This allows you to not have to press the camera button yourself, and prevents you from accidentally bumping the camera and disrupting the film. It may not seem like a big deal to bump the camera, but with stop motion it can really throw off the look of the film and may even require you to start all over again. Now let's click record and get animating. When it comes to stop motion, the biggest thing you want to pay attention to is that you need small movements. These little movements will lead your character to come to life in a way that is more realistic. Every time the timer goes off, I am moving the character very slightly, centimeters at a time. Centimeter by centimeter, I am moving Godzilla and slowly bringing him to life. Think about your character's personality and how you'd want him to move. For example, with Godzilla here, I want to have him bare his claws and look into the camera, putting his head down in a menacing look. It can be really useful to take some time before filming to do a couple test shoots and see how fast or slow you should be moving your character across the screen. Then you'll know just the right measurements to make your character move the way you'd like it to. If you aren't sure how many pictures to take or how slowly to move your character, know that it's always best to move your character more slowly and take as many photos as possible, because you can always go back and delete the extra frames that you don't need, but you can't create frames that aren't there. So keep in mind that more is always better in this case. I'm going to fast forward this a little bit so you can see the process. With a figurine like this, it is really useful to use tape or Play-Doh to kind of secure his feet down a little bit. This will prevent it from bumping around or moving too much with all this back and forth I'm doing. Notice in the bottom right corner you can see a counter, 30, 31. These are the number of frames or pictures I have taken. So as you can see, it takes quite a long time for a little bit of movement. Now let's press play. Isn't that cool? It's always my favorite part to see how things are coming together. Now, if you notice down here, it says 1 second. So we did 31 pictures. 31 frames for 1 second of video. You can change the speed and amount of frames per second right here in the bottom left. Here's the slider that lets you change it. You can do 17 seconds, or 13, 14. Let's see what 12 looks like. Now, just know that this is going to be a lot more slow. Yeah, that seems too slow for Godzilla. He's menacing and scary, we can't have him looking lethargic. Let's move him back to 17 frames. I think this looks really cool. It's all about seeing what you think looks best and what suits your character. Like, maybe if you had a sloth character, you could turn it down to that 12 or even 7 seconds, but Godzilla is perfect here at 17. If you want, you can press this and change each individual frame, or you can delete stuff here on the right. You can go over to this section here and press copy, and you can paste images if you want to repeat a certain frame. You can pause it. There are a lot of different options here. It's fun to play around with. Now, if we head back to the main menu, you can hold down the video you want to select, and you can go down to the share option and press export movie. From there, I will scroll to save the video and tap that. And now it's being sent to my photos in my phone. And look at that! It's over there in the photos section. You can watch it, you can share the video. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said, you have taken your first step into a larger world. Now that we understand how the app works, let's create our own claymation from initial story idea to final film. Claymation is a very popular form of stop motion because of how easy it is to manipulate and shape clay, and because of how easy and cheap it is to make your own clay at home, or even use something you already have like Play-Doh. And this is why we will be making our own stop motion today with Play-Doh. The first steps are the same as flipbook animation. You must think of a story you want to tell and plan it out with storyboards. For the claymation, I'm going to do another short story by 3rd grader Dil Joshi. This one is called Animals. As I draw up my storyboards, I want you to think about the story you want to create later. Once my storyboards are done, it's time to create my characters. You can create all of your characters out of clay or do a mix of figurines and dolls, and also have clay elements. It completely depends on how you want to tell your story. The important part is that you have them all molded and ready to go for filming. A tip for creating characters out of clay is to keep the shapes and details as simple as possible, so when you're remolding or reshaping, you can make sure they look the same each time. After you finish your characters, it is time to set up your background. You can create out of clay, paper, cardboard, or fabric. Think about how you want the world your film takes place in to look like, and what material would make that come to life. For example, if you have a scene in outer space, it could be really cool to use tinfoil. Or if your scene takes place in the mountains, you could use a staircase. Filming outdoors in the grass could turn your scene into a wild jungle. For my scene, I am using a mix of paper and clay. Now it is time to set up your scene. Decide whether or not you want to use special lighting. You can use a flashlight for dramatic lighting, place colored tissue paper over your flashlight to create moody lighting, or you can keep the light natural. Decide where you want to set up your camera. Once you have the app ready to go, choose where you want to place your camera for your film. How you place and angle your camera can create different moods, so think carefully. Placing the camera low and tilting up can make your characters appear large and powerful. Placing the camera high and angled down can make them appear small and intimidated. Typically, you would start with a wide shot of your scene. This is called an establishing shot. It is important so the viewer can see the surroundings and characters right at the beginning to get an idea about what will happen in your film. However, you can get creative and also start with close-up shots. It's your film. Experiment with placement until you're happy with it. To create stop motion, you're going to take some type of an object and move it little by little, taking a photo each time. When those are all stitched together through the app, it will cause the object to appear like it's moving. An important term to understand in animation is frames per second, or FPS. A frame is one single image. Each time you take a photo of your object, you are adding one frame. A typical movie that you see in theaters is 30 frames per second. This means for each second of footage, there's 30 individual photos. In stop motion animation, the recommended frame rate is 15. So we will be taking 15 individual photos for each second of footage. To set this frame rate, press the wheel icon on the bottom left side of the app and scroll the timeline to the 15 marker. Now that we're ready to take photos, in the app press that camera icon in the top right corner to take one photo. Now move your character slightly and do it again, and 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 again. Make sure you have your storyboards nearby to follow along with and get snapping away and creating your film. After all, you have a lot of photos to get taking. Tip: if you're not sure how many photos to take, remember that 15 photos equals 1 second of animation. So if you're wanting your character to move from point A to point B, think about how long it would take them to walk that far. If it would take about 3 seconds, you'll be taking 45 photos of them walking. Another example is if a car speeds by and it takes 0.5 seconds, you will only need to take 8 photos of that motion. If you want to build suspense, you can take multiple photos of your character without moving anything at all. Now back to my film. I just finished taking the last photo, so let's see what we created. Now that you have learned the tools and all about what goes into making an animation, go create your own and share it with your friends and family. The coolest part of animation is having your own movie that you created from story to final film and everything in between. So get creating and bring your stories to life. Stay creative and take care.
Okay, hi. Thanks for coming for Q&A after.
Yeah, of course.
So we hope everyone enjoyed the video. I loved it. I think it's so much fun. And while we're see if we have any questions coming in, make sure you get your questions in while we're waiting.
Okay,
I do have a few questions.
Thanks
for coming for Q&A after. For you. So I just wanted to start off. We hope everyone enjoyed the video. I loved it.
Yeah, so I
so
started getting into actually
and
filmmaking
while
first, just
we're-
live action
see if
type
we
of
have any
filmmaking
questions
stuff.
coming in,
When I was
make sure
really
you get
young,
your
I think I was
questions
like
in while we're
11
waiting.
when I started
Okay,
acting.
hi.
And then I really got
for
into
Q&A
picking up a
for
camera
you.
and making little like
So I
YouTube
just wanted to
videos and
start
stuff
off
like
with,
that throughout my youth. And
Yeah,
then once I
so
got to
I
high school,
started
I went to
getting into
film-based
actually
high school.
filmmaking
So
first,
we
just
learned
live action
like
type of
filmmaking stuff.
And
And
when I was really young, I think I was like
script
11
writing
when I
with
started
like our English
acting.
class
And
and
then
stuff like
I
that.
really got into
And then I went
camera and
to,
making
I started
little
working in the
YouTube
film
videos
industry
and
like
stuff
as
like
my
that
career
throughout
high
high
school
school
and
into
into
my
middle
adult.
school.
Once I got to high
And then I
school,
went
I
to
was
U of
getting into
R for
filmmaking.
filmmaking.
So
And that's
really
really where
learned
I
like
discovered
filmmaking.
animation.
And when I was really young,
I took a
I
few
was
animation
script writing when I
classes, but
started
it was all like
class.
stop
And
motion,
then
which
I
I
really
love.
got
But
into
I
like
started
camera
teaching
and
myself
making I started working in the film industry
live
like as
action
my
and
career
throughout high
claymation
school,
and
computer animation was what I really got into. And I really fell in love with computer animation, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Awesome. So we do have some questions coming in. So our first question is, can you add sound to the stop motion films if we want to give our characters voices?
Yeah, absolutely. They actually allow you to do that in app. You can either upload at like MP3 or any kind of audio file directly to the app, or even a full song. You can add multiple layers of audio, or you can even record your own voice through the app. So there's a lot of options for adding audio there.
Awesome. That's great. Um, at the end, can Miss Haley tell us what program she uses to make her other animations, like at the beginning when she started talking, or her craft ones for the library?
Oh yeah, so those ones are all a mix of an app called Procreate, which is like a drawing app. I draw all my characters on there, and then I animate them through Adobe Animate, which is like a part of the Adobe suite.
Um, why didn't your hand show up in the picture when you moved the figurine of Godzilla?
I got my friend to help me move the characters, so a lot of time you see like a man's hands in the photo. So yeah, sometimes you need some help when you're doing so many photos like that.
That's awesome. I've got another question for you. What is your favorite animation style?
That's a good question. I really love like 2D computer animation. I love the paper cut style too, which is when you incorporate 2D computer animation with like paper elements or hand-drawn elements. I really love that texture it adds. So yeah.
That's awesome. Um, do you need to use modeling clay, or is Play-Doh fine to use?
Play-Doh's fine to use. I think the huge reason people prefer modeling clay is just because it holds the shape better, so you don't have to worry about things kind of falling over. And Play-Doh tends to dry out pretty fast, but yeah, we used Play-Doh for the animation you just saw, and it worked well. So yeah.
Awesome. Um, uh, if anyone wanted to learn or continue to learn about animation, what are some good resources that they could use?
There's a great YouTube channel called Draw with Jazza, and it's this Australian YouTuber who does like step-by-step animation tutorials. But just using YouTube as a resource, lynda.com is really great, which I think is free through your library card. If not, there's Creative Bug, which is free through your library card, which is a really great resource as well.
And doesn't look like there's any other question. So, do you have anything else to leave with your students today?
Just always keep creating and look towards the library because I'm going to be doing more tutorials like this as well. So if this is something you're interested in, yeah, I've definitely put a lot into it and follow your passions.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we hope everyone shares their animation videos with us because we'd love to see them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. See you later.